In the previous video, we have covered the coding part where we learned that how we can create class, how we can create objects, and how we can change the value stored in any attribute using objects. So what we have created a class Deloitte in which I have passed two attributes. Continent is equal to Asia and country is equal to India. Then I have also created a method here, and what that method was doing, this was actually printing. I work with Deloitte. Then I have also created two objects of class Deloitte, and then I was trying to print the continent of employee 1, continent of employee 2, and then here I have tried to change the country of employee 2 because that employee was relocated to some other location, Canada, right? So now in this video, I am going to discuss a different scenario. Now what I want, what my manager want, what I want basically, that let me open my notebook. So now I want to create a design in which I want to pass values like first name, last name, department, salary, date of joining, salary in US dollar, total years in Deloitte. I want to implement this design because what I want, that at the time of creating any object, I need to pass these values like RIA, these values like ready, because every time I'm not going to use this. Suppose if I write here name, if I write here name is equal to, let it be, I am taking XYZ, right? And I'm executing this. This is working fine. Now instead of all these statements, let me cut it down. What I want to change the name of my employee is equal to, I want to put here RIA, right? And then I want to print the name. Print emp1 dot, should be E, right? emp1 dot name, right? And if I'm running it, this is giving me RIA, right? But this way I can do that I can provide my name like this. I can give any name as an attribute, and then I will try to change the name of that particular object. But this is not a good way to approach this solution. We cannot do this every time, right? We cannot just create an object and then we just cannot go and change every time, each and every time. Suppose you have to enter, you have to do like this for 10,000 of employees. You cannot just go and change the name again and again, right? This is not the right way. So what I want, that at the time of creating object, when I'm creating any object using my class Deloitte, I need to pass all these information like Aditya, like this Deshmukh, this IT, this 1350000, and then this information. I want to pass all this information at the time when I am creating my object. So what I will do, let me type the code and come back to you. Or let us type together. So one very good way to do this, to solve this issue, is using this init method. I'll describe what this init method is doing, but first of all concentrate on the code. So this self word gets automatically here because in the previous video I have described that whenever we create function inside a class, we get this self word which represents this object. So now I want to provide what? I need to have the first name. I will use this short form first name. I also want to have the last name of my employee. Oops. Then I also want to know the department. I will use this DEPT word. And then I also want to know the salary of it. And what else I want? Date of joining. So that's date of joining is left. Right, and then this semicolon here, and then I will use this self keyword. I will tell you why I am using this keyword. So I have written this code. I will explain it in the next 1 minute, but before that let me create an object for it. So what was my condition? That at the time of creating object, I need to pass those values, and in the form of arguments. I will pass those information in the form of arguments. So I need to provide the first name. So the first name of my employee 1 was Nimishkar IT. Okay. So I will go here. So the name was Nimish. First name is Nimish. Last name is Garg. Then I need to provide the department. The department is IT. The salary is, let's say, 67,000, and then I need to provide the date of joining. So date of joining is 2nd July 2015, right? So this is what the information I am providing at the time of creating any object. I will execute this. See, no problem, the code has been executed finally, with no single, not any error. So see what is happening in the code. So at the time of creating this employee one, this employee object, the init method of this class, of this Deloitte class, the init method of this Deloitte class get activated, gets what gets invoked or activated. You don't have to explicitly call this. It gets automatically activated, it gets automatically invoked when you create any object of this class. And then what it does, it takes all these information, and store it in this form. So Nimish will be going to this F name, Garg will be going to this L name, IT will be going to this department, 67,000 will be going to salary, and the 2nd July 2015 will be going to date of joining. So this self, we are not passing any value explicitly for this self, because this self is what, this self is representing this object, this employee one. So for this employee one, these all values are going to be stored in this way. So now what self is doing, self is binding whatever the information this init has taken with these attributes. This is binding the information for my employee one object with these attributes. These are the attributes we have already seen, that this first name, this last name, all these are attributes because they are storing some data about the object. So now what it is doing, so let me explain this again. So employee one, at the time of creating this employee one, the init method of this class, this Deloitte class, get activated. Why just this class? Because I have created employee one using this class Deloitte. So init method of this class gets activated, and whatever the information, whatever the data we have provided here as an arguments, init takes it, and in the same sequence, and it takes it in the same sequence, like Nimish F name, Garg L name, it initializes. Init stands for initialization. So once this init method has played its role, now comes the part of self. Self represents what? Self represents this object employee one. Whatever the objects you are going to create, this self is going to represent that only. And the role of this self is to bind the attribute with the given argument. So bind these arguments with this class attributes, like all the attributes which is present inside this function, all these attributes, this self is going to bind this with arguments, whatever the argument this init function has given while creating this particular object. Remember guys that the role of this self is very important, role of this init is very important, and it is really not required to use init method every time. You can also create any class without using this init method that we have seen in the previous video. So here what I am going to check, I'm going to print emp1 dot, see all these attributes, all these methods are coming here. I want to know the first name. See this first name. So I will just press this and I will run it. So the first name of my employee one is Nimish. Similarly, I can access all this. I want you all to try this out. Now, one very important information I want to tell you here is that this first name, this word, this variable name can be anything. You are not you should not be worried about this. All you should be worried about this f name. This f name should be exactly same as this. If you write here, if you write here suppose f names, this is going to give you an error. So remember guys, this should be same. See, I have written here first name, self dot first name is equal to f name. I have also written here self dot salary is equal to salary, self dot salary. It could be same as well or different as well, because this is not at all going to give you any error. Whatever you want, whatever the word or the name you want to take, you can do that. So similarly I can create n number of objects and try this out with creating different objects. So I also have one condition to fulfill, that I need to provide the salary in US dollar. It should not be rate, it should be salary divided by rate. Okay, I made a little mistake. So yeah, so I have created a function here, this def salary in US dollar, and in this what I want to provide the rate as well. I have not taken any constant rate, but if the rate is changing, I am taking the like the dynamic rate. Whatever the rate you want to provide, you can do that. Then I have used this conversion process where I am dividing the salary of this. See, the importance of the self dot salary is that whatever the object you will be using, only the salary of that particular object will be considered, because the self represents the object here. So employee 1 dot salary divided by rate, if I am considering employee 1, so this self represents the object. And then what I am printing this statement, salary in US dollar is this dollar salary, right? So I also have made some few changes here, that I have created this two objects, employee 1 and employee 2. And then what I am trying to do, I'm trying to print the salary of employee 1 in US dollar. So I will execute this, and the result is 893.33334, right? Because I have given this rate, the rate could be anything, right? The rate doesn't matter here, the function, like how the flow is going, that matters. Now suppose I want to do the same for employee 2. So as I'll press this dot operator, I'll get all these things. So I want to use this method, salary in US dollar. Okay, fine. I'll press enter. And as soon as I press enter, see, this is coming. This self is coming, self represents this employee 2, and now I need to provide the rate. I need to pass this argument. This is indicating me, dictating me that I need to provide the rate. Otherwise, if I just run this, what I am going to get? I am going to get this error because this rate is missing. This is clearly showing me that the rate is missing. Okay, fine. I'll provide the rate here. After providing the rate, let me run this, and this time I am getting 1786. See, the main purpose of this self is that this self is it representing at a time, for single time, at one time, this is representing just one object. For the first time it was representing this employee 1, and for the second time it was representing this employee 2. So this is the representation of the object of this class. Whatever, and this is going to differ. This self is going to differ for each object. Sometimes we will be creating employee 33. So in that time, this function is going to do something different, because this self will be different. The rest everything, see, the rest everything is going to be same. Only just because I have given this self, this is going to act differently for each and every time I'm using an object of this class. So I hope this part is clear. Implement this with different other examples, different other functions. So